First, let me question the premise of your question. I'm unsure that all that there is to know is a finite set. Maybe all that there is to know is an infinite set of knowledge. So we will never know quarter of an infinite set, because that would be infinite in itself, and our knowledge will never be infinite. We are finite creatures. But let's say that we know much more than we do now. You mentioned the Kardashev scale, the classification of civilizations according to how much energy they use. And that's a very interesting way to put this. Sometimes people ask, what could be achieved if only limited by the laws of physics, not by how advanced our own technology is, because admittedly our technology progresses, we advance with time. But so sometimes we ask the question, is something doable not by the standards of our current or foreseeable technology in the near future, but what if we could achieve something based on the only limitation being the laws of physics? So some things can't be done because they would violate the laws of physics. We cannot travel faster than light. Okay, so we cannot do this. But given the limitations of the laws of physics and only those, could we have time travel to the past? For example, that's one question that we can pose, even though currently, no doubt, we don't have the technology, we don't have the science to allow for time travel to the past. But this does not limit our thinking of, based on the laws of physics as we currently understand them, is there anything that prohibits it even in principle? You also specifically mentioned the Kardashev scale. Right now we're a type 0 civilization. We don't even use all of the energy that falls on our planet. We can calculate how much energy, solar energy, falls on the Earth. We don't even use that much. If we were to estimate exactly what fractional level we would be on the Kardashev scale, I think we're about 0.7 type civilization.
Yeah, I think calculation is like 0.73.
Yeah, about something like this. 0.7 something, right. But what would we need to do in order to be a type 1 civilization? It turns out that in principle we can be. The amount of energy that we would need, let's say if we use hydrogen fusion, and we would take ocean water and harvest the hydrogen atoms from the water, and then we would do nuclear fusion in order to generate energy. In order to be a type 1 civilization, we would need so many gallons of water a day, and we can of course calculate exactly how many those are. And you can say, okay, is that enough? I mean, do we have enough water in the ocean in order to sustain this? It turns out that yes, if we look at the entire future lifetime of the Earth until the sun exhausts its hydrogen fuel at its core and expands, becomes a red giant and completely pulverizes the Earth to cinders, we would only need to use a few percent of the entire water in the ocean to generate this much energy. So yes, we have an energy source to be a type 1 Kardashev civilization. What we don't have is the fusion technology. But probably we will. I don't know if in 100 years, maybe in 50, maybe in 20 years, but eventually we will have the hydrogen fusion technology in order to generate clean, sustainable energy from ocean water. So we can be a type 1 civilization. Can we be a type 2 civilization? To be a Kardashev type 2 civilization, we will need to harvest all the energy that the sun produces. So there are ideas on how to do this. There is the idea of a Dyson sphere. If we can build solar cells all around the sun, harvest all of the solar energy, we could do it. So we have an idea on how to do it. Whether it is technologically feasible, we do not know. But at least we have thought about this idea. It seems like something that I do not think of any law of physics that prohibits it from happening. So maybe we will only have the technology for this in 1,000 years. Maybe we'll only have the technology for this in 10,000 years. But I don't know of anything in the laws of physics themselves that prohibit us from harvesting a large fraction of the total energy produced by the sun and use it. To become a type 3 civilization, we would need to harvest the energy from the entire galaxy. Here, I really don't think I can think of a reasonable way of doing this. It seems that building such a giant sphere of light collectors engulfing the entire galaxy, it sounds like a fantastical idea. So I think that we could become a Kardashev type 1 civilization. I don't think the laws of physics will prohibit us from becoming a type 2. You know, the Kardashev scales goes up to type 5. I guess if you're a type 5 civilization, I can think of little that would distinguish you from what we normally consider of as a god. It will be like engineering the universe. But this is a very interesting question. So I do not work directly on the question of can we ever have time travel to the past? But I'm very interested in this question, so I read about it. There is research done on it. Unfortunately, not research funded by the United States government. They decided a good number of years ago to not fund such research. But, so that of course limits the extent and how much work you can do in it. But people still work on it. And I think it's an extremely intriguing and exciting topic of research. And maybe one day I will go there too.